Hi guys, Roberto with Savvy Apparel Studio here. One of the questions that we get asked all the time is what is the ideal number of styles people should start their collection with? And I think that depends on a few different factors. One of them, and the most important one, is how much cash do you have available to invest? This doesn't have to be your own personal cash, could be savings, could be investments from investors, could be access to funds from credit cards or loans, or also there are some crowdfunding options out there. But sometimes it's hard to know how much cash you're gonna need because for example, factories are not going to give you pricing for your product until you have your product development completed. So sometimes it takes a few months until you can get to that point. But I wanted to give you or show you how you can estimate how much cash you're going to need to fund your production. So let me share my screen with you here. Okay, so I'm sharing my screen, and what I have done is one of the easiest ways to see how much cash you're gonna need is looking at companies that are already in business. And there are companies that have their financial statements available. These are publicly traded companies. And I have selected randomly 3 different companies. One of them is Lululemon, Under Armour, and American Eagle Outfitters. And I have taken their financials from 2019 and I have compared them. So as you can see, these are their actual financials, and these numbers are in thousands. So here we're looking at Lululemon. They made $3.9 billion in 2019 in revenue, and their cost of goods sold were $1.755 billion. So they had a gross profit of $2.2 billion. Their selling, general, and administrative expenses were $1.3 billion, and their net income was $629 million. So the most important thing here is the cost of goods sold. What is cost of goods sold? Cost of goods sold is all those direct costs that are associated with producing a product. So in this case, everything that these guys are selling, they have costs associated for the products. So this could be in terms of apparel, that could be their product development cost, could be their production cost, could be the freight from the factories to their warehouses. So here, if I look at these guys, it's telling me that, for example, Lululemon sold $3.9 billion in sales in 2019, but 44% of that was directly associated with their cost of goods sold. Same with Under Armour. Their cost of goods sold was a little bit higher at 53%. And then I'm looking at American Eagle Outfitters. Their cost of goods sold was a lot higher at 65%. So this is a very important indicator. And then selling, general, and administrative expenses for these companies, for Lululemon, 1.3 billion. So 34%, for Under Armour was 42%, and for American Eagle was 24%. So if I take an average of these two, cost of goods sold and selling, general, and administrative expenses for these 3 companies, I get 54%, an average of cost of goods sold. So what does that mean? So let's say that I took 3 different products. I took a pair of leggings from all three companies. I took a tank top for women from all three companies, and I took a hoodie from all three companies. And I compared the sales price that they have listed on their website. So for example, Lululemon, they have a pair of leggings and they are $138. Under Armour has a pair of leggings for $100, and American Eagle has a pair of leggings for $36. So I know based on their financials, and this is just a general idea, but it's a very good idea when you're starting out to understand the industry, to understand the numbers. So we know that if they're selling a pair of leggings for $138, the cost of goods sold, or the cost associated with developing and producing that product, will be $60 for Lululemon, which is that 44% of the 138. For Under Armour, it's gonna be $53 if they're selling at 100. And for American Eagle, the cost of producing those leggings will be $23 because it's 65%. If we look at the tank has a sales price for Lululemon of $58, and a 44% cost for that would be $25, $26. Same with Under Armour will be $15, and for American Eagle will be $12. And then the hoodie, if they're selling at $118, 44% will be $52, 53% will be $26, and the 65% will be the $22. So what I did is I took an average for all three products. So I know that to produce a pair of leggings, if I take an average, and one of the most important things that you need to understand here is that these are super large companies. They have sales in the billions of dollars. And of course, they are gonna get the best pricing from factories and from freight forwarders and for product development. So what you're looking at here are best possible scenarios, okay? So it's gonna be almost impossible for a startup to compete with these guys, okay? Because they have factories, they're moving thousands and thousands of styles through factories, and they're getting really good pricing. So $46 to produce a pair of leggings, if we look at their financials right here, on average, it's a pretty good idea. $18 to produce a tank. So if we look at Lululemon, we look at Under Armour, and we look at American Eagle, on average will be $18. And then for the hoodie, we're looking at an average of $34. So what we can do, we can take these three costs and we can plug them in here. So we have the leggings, the tank, and the hoodie. And we are assuming that as a startup, the minimum number that you should be producing is in the 300 units per style. Anything less than that will be expensive because it will be considered sample run sizes. And then factories really don't make any money if they're producing less than that. So let's assume that you have to produce 300 units per style, and your collection will consist of leggings, a pair of leggings, a tank top, and a hoodie. And you have to produce 300 units per style, right? So the cost, we said the average cost for a pair of leggings, looking at the financials on these percentages, will be, let's say, $46 right there. The cost for the tank top on average will be $18, and the cost of the hoodie will be $34. So the total cost, so if we take the 300 units, multiply it by the cost of 46, you're gonna have to spend $13,800 to produce a 300 pair of leggings. For the tank top will be 54, and then for the hoodie will be 10,200. If we add the three, you will need about $29,400 to produce all three styles. This is best case scenario for companies that are selling billions of dollars. So of course you're not gonna get that pricing, okay? So if we look at this and we need to figure out how much cash you will need to develop these three styles, at least you will need the production for cost of goods sold. So that will include the product development, the production, which is the cut and sew, the materials, and then bringing it to your warehouse. And then you also have the selling, general, administrative expenses. So let's say that those are 33% on average. So 33% of your sales price. So let's say that you are selling, or your cost is $29,400. In order for that to be 54% of your sales will have to be $54,000 for those three styles, 300 units. Your cost will be the $29,400, and your selling and administrative expenses will be 33% of your revenues. So they will be in the range of $18,000. So how much cash are you gonna need? You're gonna need, for selling, general, and administrative, that includes advertising, that includes marketing, that includes wages, that includes rent, that includes all the operating expenses to run a business. You may not have the same percentages like these big guys because they have a large infrastructure, but you are gonna have some selling, general, and administrative expenses that are gonna have to be paid in advance. You can't wait until you sell your product to pay these. Advertising you have to pay before. Same with selling expenses. You're gonna incur some fixed costs up front. So you need to have the cash available. So if I add the cost of the production plus the cost of selling and administrative, you're looking at $47,000 in cash that you need to have available to produce these three styles at 300 units apiece, assuming the cost will be close to this. Now, the cost will probably be a lot higher because you are starting out. You're only doing 300 units. You're not doing thousands like these guys. So you're probably gonna end up paying more for your cost. And then you may be able to save some on this category, the selling, general, and administrative, because the purpose of a startup is that you have to bootstrap. You have to be lean in your operating expenses. So you're probably gonna be able to save some here, but the cost for these, let's say it's 20% higher than this, or 30% higher. So you're probably gonna have to have between 35,000 to another 10,000 here. So it's 45. So you're probably gonna need the $47,000 to $50,000 in cash to be able to produce the leggings, the tank, and the hoodie. Okay. So this is just the framework. This is just to give you an idea how to estimate your costs, looking at companies that are in the industry and looking at their cost structure. So the most important numbers, again, to summarize, would be the cost of goods sold, because that's a direct reflection of their cost of producing the product. So on average, looks like it's a 54%. You want to stay as low as you can on this number. Same with this, because the more money you spend, the less money you're gonna make. And if you can prove in paper that you can make money, then you probably have a winning proposition. So this is just an example. Again, looking at these three styles, if you produce 300 units at these costs, you're gonna need about $47,000 to $50,000 to be able to produce those. So again, when somebody asks us how many styles should we start with, it's very clear that it depends on how much cash you have available to invest in your product. It all comes down to that. So sometimes it may be necessary maybe to just reduce the number of styles to maybe one style. You can start with one style, maybe in a Kickstarter campaign or project, or one style with a few different color variations, and start with that. And if you're successful, then I would try a few more styles. But I think that a good number is within the 2 or 3 styles to have a small collection. And with each style, for example, the leggings, you can have 2 or 3 different color variations. Same with the tank, and same with the hoodie. So that will be a good number to start. But the cash that you're gonna need for that is directly related to the cost of producing the products, which is the product development, the production, and the freight to get it there. And then you're gonna have some selling, general, and administrative expenses, which is the advertising and the marketing and the general operating expenses of running a business. So those are the considerations that you have to make when you are planning on how you're gonna finance your startup or your venture. I hope this helps. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, email us, or call us. We would be more than happy to help you and to discuss your project. If you have any additional questions, let us know. And we look forward to hearing from you.